I've noticed how difficult it has become to be present online. I tried to register a few accounts with the social media platforms recently, and it felt like I'm being interrogated by something that is supposed to be a funny cat videos platform or a place where you like, classmates' wedding photos. A series of complex checks, application rejections with no explanation given, and just a recurring suspicion that I might be a bot. I tried to register a new Instagram account for this channel, but the platform wouldn't believe that I'm an actual person, unless I provide my phone number. You would think, why have an email registration option if that's not really an option? And I understand that the phone number is the least valuable information they are looking for, but still, if I don't jump through enough digital hoops, the gate just stays closed. Yeah, it's a strange thing to notice how the modern world views a person who values their privacy. If you don't surrender your data, you become a suspicious entity. For the longest time, I didn't allow social media in my life. I had the accounts registered since the beginning, but I never really used them. There was a period when I thought that some platforms are better than the others, so I leaned towards them a little bit, but then again, that didn't last. And they mostly stayed dormant. But the reality is, if you want to share your work with anyone, you have to be actually out there sharing. Starting this channel was a bit of a challenge because I really dislike being the center of attention. But it is necessary if I want to communicate what I have to say. And what's much more important, if I want to find like-minded people. Instagram wasn't the only intimidator, to be honest. I registered the TikTok account as well, but only after 6 perfectly normal videos. My account got shadow banned. I filed 4 similar tickets and they were all closed with no resolution. I'm not even sure why I'm fighting them. I wasn't able to get any help from customer service because guess what? It's all AI. It's not just the gates, it's the tools that are making me feel slightly out of balance these days. I've already started noticing the change in the dynamics between me and the machine. I don't want you to misunderstand me. I use AI every single day, just like pretty much everyone. I rarely search anything these days using the search engines, certainly way less than I probably should. What I've noticed is the shift in the attitude. At first it was more like, please and thank you, you were making a new friend. Then, after being bogged down in the routine, after a few conversations about how to fix a bathroom fan or what are the benefits of Mediterranean diet, the relationship changed slightly. It started to feel like a manager and employee type of relationship. And I get frustrated when my subordinate, does not perform to the standard that I have in my head. But what also started to happen is that these roles started to flip occasionally. Every once in a while, I notice that I am the subordinate, as if I'm talking to the supervisor. But at the same time, when it does something stupid, I am finding myself on the verge of scolding it at the same time. So yeah, I don't like myself in those moments. Not at all. And at this point, I'm not sure who's a suspicious entity anymore. It's as if I developed a sense of ownership over the personal assistant that I don't actually own. And that occasional loss of agency, when I feel like I am being managed by the very thing that I use, is what making me lean towards the more manual things, even more than before. There's something about manual things that feel like a relief. It doesn't have to be analog necessarily. It doesn't even have to be tangible. It just has to be manual. A digital hardware synth or a handheld music tracker or a guitar pedal. Or a mechanical pencil, a notebook, a blank piece of paper, and good old something to write with. It's about control. These things are often quirky, they have limitations. But in those limitations, there is a sense of privacy. Quite often, manual things mean flexibility and learning opportunities. I don't get help from them, they just exist, and I use them. It's kind of a very different way to create, very tactile. And this is exactly how my favorite records were created, in the era prior to social media. Not that social media has any effect on this, it's just time reference point. And I'm not even talking about tapes and 4-track recorders. I'm thinking about producers like Aphex Twin, Fortet. They use digital tools, but they were the ones driving them. I find myself wondering occasionally, does everyone have their own time? Have you ever thought of it? Not necessarily a favorite time, but their time. The time where they would feel comfortable in. Like, for me, it would probably be early 2000s, for no obvious reason. I don't think it's nostalgia, just something that I would easily click with, even right now. I remember how growing up, all life was happening outside. There was no social media, not everyone even had cell phones yet. So if you wanted to know what was going on and be part of the life, you had to be outside. You had to manually take control of your curiosity because it wasn't curated for you. Now, outside is mostly dead, except for those landscaping guys. Everything is happening elsewhere, indoors, online. Feels like the only reason to be outside is to drive from point A to point B. I feel like I'm caught in between centuries, standing on both sides of the border simultaneously. It's a strange thing to carry with you in the present. It makes me realize that if I want to keep doing this, making music, making videos, I have to find a way to maintain my own pace. I'm thinking how to keep doing this for a long time. It can only work if it's pleasurable and if it's sustainable, without thinking about reception. But what's also important for me is that the record of me doing things persists. I don't want my work to perish because of the platform it sits on. Not that any of it is timeless, but I want to make sure that it doesn't just vanish because the service changed or because the company folded. I don't mind if it gets lost because of the lack of interest from the viewer or the listener. I understand that. But I also don't want it to be held hostage because I'm just renting a place in someone else's ecosystem. It's important for me that it persists in the real world, even if it's just in digital form. And I swear, I also don't want to get distracted by fighting nonsense. I just want to focus on things that matter to me and hope that those things bring some positive experiences to like-minded people. Lately, I've been trying to rework my website once again. I feel like this is the project that never really ends. But even here, I don't want to give up control. I want to do everything manually. Obviously using the tools that help me, because I'm not a developer. It is slow, it is tiring, and it's very buggy. You could ask why bother these days. But I feel like having a website, as old school as it is the only way to have a permanent and uninterrupted thread, showing the things that you've been working on in one place, and not lost in the algorithmic feeds. It is just a place where I can share the things that I love in my own time without fear of it being dismantled or banned. For me, it's about finding a way to be a human, as suspicious as they might be, in a world that is constantly trying to turn me into something else.